Warning, this episode contains strong language or mature themes. Parental discretion is advised.
I always like to listen to music.
So do I.
I brought my tapes. I'll just set it in, and now we push this button.
Welcome to This Podcast is Uncalled For.
What's uncalled for about it?
What we doing at Tijuana?
You met a girl, didn't you? I was like, oh, how did you know? He was like, oh, because it always happens. It always happens. It's the only stupid reason that you would ever drop the ROTC, because of a stupid girl.
And then look, thank you back home.
Oh, that's going to be great for the football charts.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I can think of 100 right off the top of my head.
Is paid a genre?
So it just, a lot happens behind the scene that people don't know about. Like, it's hard for the average voter to understand how much of what they think is their democracy is decided by faceless people to them. You know, you and I know who's making these decisions.
There you go. These are the kind of discussions we have. Fortunately, we're both fairly level-headed people. Again, we're looking at each other in the eye. We're not going to say anything derogatory to the other person. And, of course, neither of us is drunk.
Take me to Gay's barbecue.
It's a bit of a slap in the face and insults.
But you didn't even give him a chance for a wild card spot.
And the look on Mike's face.
They love big boys like you.
It's kind of, what is that character from Guardians of the Galaxy who takes everything literally? The people are out there, like, they could have taken it literally.
Yeah, we're crazy people and we love what we do, and so we just keep creating regardless of how hard it can be sometimes.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on your podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
And remember, no you.
That is uncalled for, Michael.
And now, your host for this podcast, Mike Chernevsky.
I have a lot more on this tape. Here. Listen to this.
Well, the name of this podcast is Stuff Uncalled For?
This podcast is uncalled.
Podcast, all right. Well,
And all y'all, subscribe and like and comment and subscribe. Yeah, I said it.
Fuji!
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. And I have great news. We have a co-host. So I'm going to let him introduce himself this episode, and we'll go from there.
All right. My name is Braden Shryock. I am somewhat of a Kansas City native. I was born in Merriam, Kansas back in 1999. And I've grown up most of my life in Tonganox, Kansas. Graduated from Tongi High in 2017. Spent a couple years in college up at Highland Community College and at a semester at Missouri Western studying music and theater. And ever since then, I've just been trying to be as much of an actor and a musician around the area as I can.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good deal. So let's talk about the music aspect of things, because that's what you said you majored in. What kind of music do you do, and can people hear your stuff?
Oh, yeah. I do have a project up right now called The Dark under my name Braden. You'd have to look for the diamond on my name, probably. It's a full-length album. It's got 15 tracks, about an hour long. It's a little bit longer than usual for a debut album, but I kind of had a lot to offer the table. And I actually, by the time this comes out, I guess, which right now is going to be tomorrow, I'll have a small 6-track EP with a couple of buddies of mine who are also local artists, so that'll be exciting. And we already got some projects in the work for the future, so 23 is already looking pretty good.
That's awesome.
Music, I kind of do like an indie rock type bass stuff, but I like to bring in like a bunch of different influences from my stuff. I guess that's how a random mess of everything is how I perfectly describe it.
You hinted you were interested in acting as well, so Have you had any work as an actor yet? Or?
I've done a couple small projects around the city. I've done a couple contracted projects. Gosh, I can't. You're going to have to deal with a lot of stuttering off the gate. Just
That's fine. I do a lot of ums and everything. And
ums and ahs. Yeah. But yeah. One project that I'm really excited for to be coming up with is projects I did called Blackberry Whittle, which is a small little indie project that a guy out of Lawrence named Devin Clark, he's already done a couple like documentaries and stuff, and he's like done really good work. And this is actually his first like indie film project, and he wrote it all himself. Mm-hmm. And it was my first like professional film project of sorts, and it was a really big challenge for me, and it was one of the most fun weeks I had, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, filmmaking is fun. It is a lot of hard work. Don't listen to anyone who says it's easy.
Oh yeah,
know what they're
expect mess ups at every turn, because that's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, stuff will happen.
Yeah, stuff will happen. Things are gonna get cut. It's in a way like you shouldn't really expect everything to go out the way you intend to.
Mm-hmm.
Like not just in a film perspective, but in also my album perspective. Like, right. I don't expect everybody to be listening to it off the bat. I don't even expect it to hit until like maybe even 5 or 10 years from now. Like, if it just happens, it happens. At least as long as you're having fun creating.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
Just in the moment.
I agree. That's something I've learned the hard way and everything. Yeah. Not just with filmmaking, but with podcasting too.
Yeah. Very weird environment.
Yeah. Now you've when we had your interview a couple weeks ago,
mm-hmm.
You mentioned you'd already worked with a couple of actors who have been on the podcast.
Yeah, a couple of them. I haven't worked with them directly at some points, but I do know about certain, like Jessica. I've
mm-hmm.
seen a couple of her projects.
Yep. Friendly podcast, Jessica Whitfield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's definitely a really good actor. I really hope I can get to work with her someday.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's like,
yes, yeah. When I've first met Jessica doing her episode of the podcast over Zoom for.
Oh, that was your first time meeting her?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but not my first exposure to her. My first exposure to her was a couple of months earlier, during the whole pandemic thing, and everyone was forced to be on Zoom.
Yeah.
She did a presentation for the Independent Filmmakers Coalition
mm-hmm.
On, I think it was on screenwriting and stuff like that, because she's also a screenwriter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And another friend of the podcast, Pat Lamb, very first guest we had on.
Oh, yeah.
He actually suggested Jessica as well, so. And then she messaged me and said, "Yeah, I want to do the podcast." So
yeah, there's still a lot. There's still a lot of people in the community we got to get on here.
Yeah,
like Toddy Brothers, for instance.
Yeah, especially Sam.
Sam, come on, dude. Seriously.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have to text him again after this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah. Jessica, right now, I know is working on a project with a couple of other friends of the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Jason Turner and Andrea Dover.
Yes, I do know about
American Evil.
I've seen so many trailers for that. I was trying to get into audition for that, but like conflicts with my album were keeping it. But
mm-hmm.
it looks so knit and gritty, especially for an independent project like that. It was.
Yeah, Jason did send me an invite to the auditions, but I'm not an actor. So
yeah.
I also had to do my day job that particular day. So
yeah. Everybody's got to get the day job.
Yeah. And I have a pretty fun day job, too. I teach chess.
Yeah.
And I also...
we're going to have to set up a podcast show where you actually teach me, because I don't know a lick of chess.
Okay, so here's your first lesson, and it's for free.
Yes.
The first 10 moves of a game, doesn't matter if you're white or black, you should get both of your knights out, both of your bishops out, castle,
mm-hmm.
and control the center of the board.
Control the center of the board.
Yeah.
Knights and bishops out, center of the board.
And castle.
And Castle.
Because Gary Kasparov, the Grandmaster World Chess Champion at one point, he is in a YouTube video saying that the most important thing you should be focusing on in chess is protecting your king. Because that's how a chess game ends, is checkmate. We're not capturing the king, we're just putting him in checkmate.
I thought it was the queen they were supposed to knock down.
Oh yeah, you could take out the queen.
Oh, but to really end the game, you have to
put the king in checkmate, and
Gotcha.
you're actually. This is another thing. A lot of people, even my own students, get wrong. You're not supposed to capture the king.
You're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Really. Interesting. Gosh, so many logistics going into that game.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not a grandmaster.
Yeah.
I'll probably never be a grandmaster because that requires a FIDE rating of 2,500.
Well, you teach, so you already got a leg up on me.
Yeah. And my rating is, it depends on the system. I have a provisional 1054 with USCF. My other ratings are sub 1,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's any interest in directing or writing?
I have always had some interest in directing. I actually, before the pandemic hit, I was in the work. I had a project in the works for a live action play that was kind of based around the Batman universe. And I wrote a whole script about it. I talked to the board members of the school about it. I was even going to have like prop firearms for the set.
Oh yeah.
Which I had to talk to like the whole board about, campus security about. Which it was a really small campus. Like, I'm just saying, if you ever somehow find your way into Highland, Kansas, it is the smallest town you will ever see in your life.
I've seen smaller, believe it or not.
Dude,
Iconia, Missouri.
Iconium, Missouri.
Yeah. The only thing really in Iconium is the little shop, and they sell like blue knee-highs and peach fuzzies. And the only reason I even know about Iconium is it is just outside the gates of the H.R. Bartle Scout Reservation.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very well known among Boy Scouts locally. So.
Yeah, surprisingly, but like in Highland, I went to college there, so like the majority of their population was the students. So whenever it was winter break or summer break, there'd be like maybe not even 200 people in the town, and the town's like pretty much a mile long, and you have to go through like 20 minutes of field east or 30 minutes of field west if you caught any other place.
Right.
And the only places that were there were like a gas station, another gas station, which isn't there anymore, and a bar that opened up in March of 2020, right when everything hit the fan. So I don't really know how well that place is doing.
Well, hopefully better than that. Now for my reference, in relation to Kansas City, where is Highland?
In relation to Kansas City, it's northeast, pretty much. It would be like
that'd be in Missouri.
Yeah, not in Missouri. It'd be over in the Kansas side, like about 35 minutes east of St. Joseph.
You mean west? Because
east
west would be Missouri, west would be Kansas.
Left, right. Got to stick my fingers up to check. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so west of St. Joe.
West of St. Joe.
Good deal. Home to.
Yep. On to
Missouri.
Yeah. Yes.
Western.
Yes. And then, but yeah, I had a whole like script, like planned out for that particular show. It's still in my drafts. It's probably garbage still because like the first draft of anything is, horrible. And there's still like some details I'd have to find out. But like, it was, in my mind, it was going to be different because it was going to be like one of those superhero deals, but you would have the live aspect of theater towards it with like live people fighting in front of you and like live gunshots and like, because I mean anybody can watch any of these cartoons or these superhero movies, but if that stuff's like happening in front of you in a sense, like
right,
especially with the darker aspects of the Batman universe that I had planned for it, it was going to be all based around the one particular character, Jason Todd. the Red Hood.
Mhm.
Yeah. But pandemic hit. I didn't really have enough actors to support the idea because, oh well. So it just never really came into fruition.
Mm-hmm. Well, as long as it's a small thing, you probably shouldn't get in trouble with copyrights, but keep it small. Otherwise, make sure they're similar to legal.
I wasn't planning on making any money off of it. It was strictly for like college, and that was about it.
Yeah.
I knew I was gonna be like iffy because I was so paranoid. I just used first names for everybody. I never gave anybody their superhero name, and there was like a character who resembled a certain clown, which I just had to label J. Not even just like J. I literally named him Jay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Just to be double safe.
All right. Are there any other interests that you are interested in exploring, like sports, for example? Because I'm a big sports fan.
Oh yeah, my family bleeds Chiefs pretty much. In fact, my grandfather is basically Kansas City Santa Claus in a sense because he's a spitting image of Andy Reid.
Mm-hmm.
We keep trying to convince him to go to the games and just sit right behind the sideline and just dress up like him, just get the sweats and the headset. But no, he's too lazy to go out to the games anymore.
Right. Yeah. So for your information and to remind our audience, I used to be a St. Louis Rams fan.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, as long as it's not Raiders or Patriots, I'm okay. With it.
So I stopped being a fan the second they were lied out of St. Louis, and it took me a while, but I've settled on the other former St. Louis team, the Arizona Cardinals, simply because how the owner voted. My father is from Pittsburgh, so he's a big Steeler fan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, has a terrible towel and everything. My mother, rest in peace, grew up in Texas, Cowboy fan. And my sister, I live with two of my three siblings. One of them is my sister, and she is one of the fan shareholders of the Green Bay Packers.
Dang.
Yeah. And
crazy.
And I also played football in high school. In fact, not too far from where we're sitting right now, Shine Mission West. So.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Shoot. You got the connections.
And yeah, boy, do I feel old since you mentioned born in 99. I graduated in 97. So,
hey,
yeah.
I feel like a jerk for mentioning that.
No, it's all it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, those were the days.
Yeah, the good old days. Shoot.
So that's football. Any other sports?
I do follow baseball. I've been trying to get into soccer, especially like women's soccer lately. I'm just like, I've never really like been so close to sports when I was a kid. Like I tried to get into sports, but they weren't really my thing.
Right.
Like I was more like the music and theater kid.
Sure.
Off and on. I was basically just only watching when the Chiefs played, and that was about it.
Okay.
Other than that, I went to like the last Chiefs game I remember was back in like 2000 and I believe it was 8, and we were playing the Chargers. Blistering cold and just calming down. And then I remember we were about to win, and we were about to win, and then Chargers got the field goal at the last second. And I was like, oh, I stood out in the cold for this. Like, what the heck? I was so young to like ignorant. I was just like, what the heck? I drove all the way out here for this.
Well, 50-50, or sometimes once a blue moon, they'll end in a tie. But,
yeah.
So I'm going to make some soccer recommendations for you.
Yeah.
First off, English Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Definitely try to find a team there to support. I myself, I'm kind of an Arsenal fan, but can't really be because the whole St. Louis Connect, they share an owner, and we actually had an Arsenal fan on the podcast.
Ooh.
And we talked about our shared dislike for said owner.
He who shall not be named.
Yeah. Crocky out. I also follow Aston Villa Football Club, one of the more storied clubs. They're a small club. They're smaller than the Chelseas or the Man Uniteds, but they're still a good club to follow because they're one of the founding members of the Football League. In fact, they pretty much established how league soccer is played worldwide. One of the founding members of the Premier League, and one of only 5 English clubs to have won what is now the UEFA Champions League.
Dang. Like, is that pretty rough competition over there?
Oh yeah, especially when you get to Europe play. Those are usually the big name clubs.
Yeah,
make that one.
Yeah, but I've never had time to like distinct each team. Like all I ever hear about is Cristiano, Ronaldo, Messi. Like that's all I ever hear about soccer.
Yeah, so England's a good place to start. Locally, I've the last few years become a big fan of our local semi-pro amateur clubs, especially Santa Fe Wanderers. Is the name of the club. They play their KCK has their own. It's the KCK Adult Soccer League.
Yeah,
is the full name. They participate in that. Fielded a couple teams there, but last year they fielded a team in the UPSL and then another team in the Midwest Premier League, which is part of the NISA, National Independent Soccer Association pyramid. And bunch of good guys. They deserve all the support they can get. So.
Dang, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I actually I do Uber driving in my off time, just to support the bills and make some extra side cash. And I was working a weekend where the Chiefs were playing, and I got 2 separate parties all the way from London.
All right.
Yeah, on the same day, like just both coming to see the Chiefs.
Okay, great.
Yeah, just because I didn't know about this, but I now know that they went over there a couple of years ago with what other team was it?
Well, the thing about London is, the NFL's been playing games in London.
Yeah. I didn't know about that part, but then I didn't really find out about that until there was a friend of my grandparents that reached out to me, who was like a close friend of theirs, and we were talking, and she likes my music videos that I had posted when I was younger before I had anything released or anything,
right.
And I asked her, like, so you seem to be really close friends with my grandparents, but I've never met you. Where are you from? She's like, oh, I'm from London. Like, London? How the heck do you know my grandparents? They connected as soon as she saw the Chiefs. She became a fan instantly, and then I don't know. I guess she just stumbled on my grandfather's account, and they've been connected ever since. She actually flew over one time and visited it.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
really cool. American football bring people together. So.
Yeah, they're actually. I was talking to both of those writers, and they were thinking that they're actually they said something about the UK having American style football in the works over there, which I'm not gonna lie. Because we did say we were world champions when we won the Super Bowl, which case in point is facts. We ain't gonna let that tell anybody else now. But like, we're in the world. Are we best in the world? I kind of want to see us go. I would still support us either way, but I'd honestly like to see some like people on the other side of the ocean have their take on it. Like, I want to see how Italians do football.
Right.
Or shoot, even Ukrainians for that matter.
Oh, yeah. Much love to Ukraine.
They'd come swinging.
Much love to Ukraine right now. So.
Yes, much love to Ukraine.
Yeah, especially coming from me, being a Polish person, and I got to applaud the way the Polish have helped Ukraine in this nonsense war of theirs.
Should we even bring that up?
Well, this isn't usually a current events podcast. But we might do something on a monthly basis in between seasons to
Or get real
to just get more.
deep into that.
Yeah, we could talk about current events in that. Just an idea I'm floating out there.
That's another reason I actually wanted to start doing this podcast, because I don't have enough of those, like, what would you call them, progressive conversations where you're exchanging ideas and values with somebody else. Because most of the time, me and my buddies, we're just making music, because that's about the only people I hang out with. We're just talking about, like, what we're doing and how we're going to make this, like, beat up. And we're just, like, focused on music most of the time. We're just caught up in our own dumb world. And, I mean, we do have decent conversations often. Like, me and my buddy, Adarius, who also goes on most platforms by the name of King Dari. That's King Dari. You need to look him up because he puts out some really good music, and the guy works hard. Seriously,
he needs to come on the podcast.
Oh, he is.
He needs to.
Yes, I'm gonna bring him on. I'm gonna bring him and my buddy Danny Fant. I got so many artists that I could put on here because there's. I'm not saying this just for the music industry. It's about the arts industry in Kansas City as a whole. It is strong, it is bold, and it is so... Wait, are we allowed to curse on this podcast?
Oh, hell yeah.
We are... It is so fucking beautiful. It is amazingly passionate. It's just so finite. Like, I've worked on maybe 3 projects, and I've seen the same guy at 2 of them.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like, I was... even... And I was working on Buddy with a buddy acting on one job and acting in college. I went to college with this guy, and then I meet this guy on another project, and he's doing weapons, like, coordinator for it. It's like such a good... I also love how much people like can multitask around here, because I do know, like, on one podcast you mentioned like how you kind of have to be like
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades. You have to know how to edit. You have to know how to direct. You have to know how to shoot. You may sometimes have to know how to act.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yep. Mentioned that many times on the podcast already. So
yes, definitely.
So yeah, the last thing I'm going. If you haven't been to the Independent Filmmakers Coalition, you need to go.
Yes, I definitely need to go.
Lots of.
I'm still like a newbie in the film scene, even though. Oh, I've had that one film project, which was the lead role, which I don't even know how I got, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna have to have those people, my castmates on that podcast too, because they're such amazing actors. Like, oh my gosh, like they're ridiculously good.
Oh yeah.
No.
All right.
Oh yeah.
So we'll go ahead and wrap this up, and. Thank you, Braden, and welcome to this podcast as Uncalled For. I'm glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
All right. And for everyone at home, we'll see you next time.
Peace out.
This podcast is Uncalled For is hosted, produced and edited by Mike Chernevsky. Opening music is I Thought You Were Cool by Holy Isna CC0, licensed under a Creative Commons 0.1.0 Universal License. The outro music for this episode is Performative Consciousness by Blue Sky Moon, licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. The co-host for the podcast is Braden Shryock. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting platform. Like our Facebook page at facebook.com/uncalledforpodcast, and check out our blog with show notes at uncalledfor.home.blog. If you are in the United States or Canada, you can call us at 816-832-5160. Leave your message or question for us, and if we like it, we will play it on the podcast. Please support the podcast and purchase our exclusive Uncalled For merchandise. T-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and so much more. Go to www.cafepress.com/uncalledforpod. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.